Welcome to Torah Smash, the podcast for nerdy Jews, where our lives of Jewish learning collide with our love of nerd culture. I am Barak Malkin, and joining me today are
Ethan Lane Miller,
RDY.
In each episode, the host will lead a discussion of what we lovingly call a Torah Smash, which we have defined as a beautiful collision of one thing from the world of Judaism with another from nerd culture. The other co-hosts don't know the topics being presented, so try and guess the pairing along with them. Today's host is RDY.
I am so excited to be hosting this particular thing. And to our listeners, I'm hoping that this is going to be something we do with relative frequency when a nerd thing comes out in pop culture.
Don't make promises you can't keep. I hope so too. I agree.
Yeah. And so we have recently been blessed with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And I would love to spend a little time talking about the movie and then have the guests come a little later. And I think this may be the hardest thing that I've asked y'all to guess so far. So get your brains ready.
I'm ready.
So let's just start off with, so Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think it was absolutely incredible. My wife hated it. And I think that's important to note because she is not nerdy. I happen to marry a non-nerd. And
it's a mixed marriage.
It's a mixed marriage. And she said, too much CGI. I think when she said too much CGI, I think as soon as, so they call it Gargantos, but it was clearly Shuma-Gorath, and there was probably.
There is a character named Gargantos,
right?
And I believe it is him because Shuma-Gorath, I think we all love that character from the arcade game. Was it Marvel versus Capcom?
Yep.
In the comics, Shuma-Gorath is like a really intelligent being and telepathically communicates. We didn't get any of that. This was a mindless henchman. And so I don't want to degrade Shuma-Gorath by saying it's a mindless henchman. So I'm going to believe it is Gargantos.
Well, actually,
it's like a reverse Uno card. Well, actually,
I think it could have still been Shuma-Gorath because of the runes.
Oh, maybe.
If Shuma-Gorath was being controlled, then the runes were, just like in WandaVision, which we discussed in our last episode. Listeners, you should really listen to our last episode before you listen to this one, because a lot of what happens in WandaVision affects what happens in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Spoil it for Torah Smash episode 5. But do you think it was Gargantos or Shuma-Gorath? Let us know in the comments.
That's a good. Let's let the listeners decide. Our dozens of listeners,
dozens of listeners.
But this amazing, like as soon as her character appeared, and especially when she stomped in the opening scene, when she stomps on the ground and a star falls out of the ground.
Oh, from America Chavez, yeah.
I was like, that's America Chavez. And my children, when we're watching Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we went with 2 of my 3 children, and they've purposely positioned themselves on either side of me so that they could watch me. And when I said America Chavez, they were like, "How did you know that?" But I mean, she was a brilliant reproduction. Like the only thing they added was the pride pin.
They're getting really good at visual representation of comic book powers.
Oh, yeah.
I have mixed feelings. Oh, did we say spoiler? Did we say this episode is spoiler alerts for Doctor Strange 2? If we haven't, shame on you.
Can we say this episode contains spoilers and put it at the beginning?
I'm just going to leave it right there. Right. I think the only one that I haven't loved so far was Black Bolt in this movie. I think it started off nice. I wish it had dissipated in a different way, I guess. It's a very nitpicky thing. it looked like the comic book representation of Black Bolt's Whisper Scream, but the that's the only one I haven't loved. I loved Peter Parker's Spidey sense in No Way Home. I loved America Chavez Star Portal and Star Punches. They've done a really awesome job. Even Professor X in this one, when he did his mind power stuff, it looks really good. They're getting really good at making these things look like actual real life things, which they're not. It's awesome.
Wait, what?
What?
Spoiler alert for those that aren't living in reality.
Spoiler alert.
I enjoyed the movie. I wouldn't say that I was head over heels with it, but I enjoyed it. It was a good time. One of the overwhelming things that I felt leaving the movie was, one, America Chavez. She was a delight every moment she was on screen.
Amen.
And the second was, I left, and this might be controversial, I left feeling like Wanda deserved better.
We haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah.
I think she's got more coming. I do.
Well, and that's the discussion. Is this actually, is this it for Wanda Maximoff? And the challenge for us is we can metagame this.
Yeah, I think it's a good rule of thumb. If you don't see them die, they're not dead.
Sure, but I'm also thinking more in terms of like, Elizabeth Olsen has been too fantastic to not find ways to continue to use her again.
Yeah.
Things.
What would be really funny is if there's another universe with twin Wandas and it's Mary-Kate and Ashley.
You know what? Or even if we found multiple versions and one was Mary-Kate and another was Ashley.
There you go. And but
that'd be very fun.
They're like the Maximoff fashion gurus.
Yeah.
And so
wait, hold on. I want to give my overall. You guys gave your initial impressions. Can I do it?
Okay.
Yay. All right. I enjoyed the movie. I saw it twice. Ended up seeing it twice. I enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed it less than I thought I would. And I think, and I had an offline conversation with RDY, which I said, we have to stop this. We should do this on the podcast. I think my issue with it was the title, that I went in hoping for a multiverse of madness. I got a lot of madness. I got 3 multiverses, except for that one montage, right? We're mainly we had the opening scene, 5 minutes of a multiverse, a chunk, an hour, one that we're used to, and then they went to the Illuminati one. We had the
Sinister
Strange one for a little bit too. So 4, I'll give you 4. That to me doesn't scream multiverse. Like I assumed it was like many, and I get for the storyline why it was contained. I think, and let me know what you think in the comments, if I had a title something more like Doctor Strange or Doctor Strange and the Darkhold, I think I would have gone in with a very different expectation. And I think that doesn't spoil the villain. That is the main concept of the center of this movie is the Darkhold, and it wouldn't have ruined it at all. And I think I would have gotten what I was expecting from it and not hoping for way more and being sort of let down on that.
I
still really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun throughout.
I wonder if it was titled Doctor Strange in the Darkhold, if it wouldn't have been an even more obvious, we're going to make Wanda the vision in this, or the villain in this movie.
Well, that's why I changed my phrasing from versus to and, right?
Yeah.
And could have meant that he's trying to help her with it. But they could have even still had, I think that we could have gotten a very similar outcome. Yeah.
It sounds like this is a hill you're willing to die on, but I think you might, because it's named, all of the Marvel movies, most of the Marvel movies are named for comic book plot lines, titles of, so Multiverse of Madness, it was in the comic books as Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And I also think that one of the great things they did with this movie is they kept it to 2 hours and 6 minutes. We've been used to these 3-hour Marvel movies, and as amazing as they are, like, who needs an app to tell you when to pee? Like what we need is a story that is in a digestible amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think having that 2-hour timeline. So 4 multiverses in 2 hours, that's pretty good.
It's fine. Spider-Verse Into the Spider-Verse gave us more.
I will also say
more characters. Okay, we were in the same one. Scratch that.
It was very digestible.
Yeah. I have two things. One, yes, it was named something else. This was also heavily based on Avengers Disassemble, which I'd happened to read like a month and a half prior. And this wasn't Doctor Strange Disassembled, right?
Right. And House of M.
Yeah, I think WandaVision was House of M. Like that was very much her control.
They're also both leading into House of M.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll get something fun. I think we're going to get, I don't want to. So, and then on the other thing, you said 2 hours was great. Didn't need a 2-hour, 40-minute. I listened to something. My good friend Jason Richards, shout out, who I go see every like nerd movie with. He had sent me this video that explained that there was like 40 minutes of cut shot footage that didn't make it into the movie. And can I share some of these like really exciting things that this thing said? There was an alternate opening. Which would have given us like the villain Wanda up front against the Mordo from End of Doctor Strange 1. It would have immediately told us that she was the villain right off the bat, where he was like hunting down all this other sorcerers. He went to her and she killed him. They had other characters in this Illuminati verse that they had shot and scrapped. And I'm going based off of the video that was a YouTube video. So whatever you want to take from it, that there's like a shot with Ghost Rider facing Wanda. There was a whole storyline, a much darker, not physically darker, just like mentally darker, with Michael Fassbender's Magneto, where that's a backstory of why the Wanda from the Illuminati verse is so much weaker than our Wanda. It's because when they had the Darkhold, they learned about Wanda and the Scarlet Witch and decided to take care of it before it became a problem.
And there's a whole chapter on it about her in it after all.
Exactly. And so they went to Magneto and asked him if they can perform a lobotomy on his daughter. And that's why she's so much weaker in this universe. Immediately when she walks through like dream walks, like immediately takes over, no problems. And when she confronts her in person at the end, like immediately, like granted, she's like a stay-at-home mom, not off doing Darkhold stuff. But I think those have been very exciting. And I'm happy with the cuts. I think we can get, and there were a few other characters, but we don't need to like dive in deep. There was a lot of other fun pulls I think they were trying to do that I don't think are necessary. And I think they can do a better job building those storylines separately, which is, I'm glad they dropped them, but it's super fun. Thank you, Jason Richards.
I will also give a prediction for how Wanda might come back. I have two ideas. One is 838 Wanda, like you said. The other is, she's already learned how to create a pocket in a town. Right. Maybe she'll create a pocket universe that will be its own thing as a part of the multiverse, maybe leading to Secret Wars. We'll see what happens with that. So those are my thoughts on how that could happen. But we're talking, and this is one of the beauties about this movie and why it's such madness, is there's so much happening, but there is a through line. And the through line is the title character, Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. And he does go through a change. You know, this is always what draws me to a movie, is that the main character needs to be dynamic. It's also why I hate Woody Allen movies, because Woody Allen never changes in his movies. But it is the change in character that causes Doctor Strange to be able to be successful in this movie.
Right. Yeah, it was a great.
Can you? For him. So I mean, I'll let one of you say.
We're at the guessing point.
Yeah.
What is the Jewish connection?
What is the change in the Jewish connection to that change?
Oh, it's like a double Jeopardy, like a 2-part answer.
It's but they're woven together. It's one answer, but it's the same. It's the Jewish connection as well.
Jewish change.
Is it about letting go?
My first guess was going to be like the Jewish study of like grief and Shiva and the shift of change through that period.
Yeah, because we have Strange, who's letting go of, his relationship
Mhm.
And we have Wanda,
Control.
who's letting go of her kids.
I think that's definitely a meta piece of it. I would say if we're going to talk about grief and loss, WandaVision has a lot to do with that as well, and Wanda's character and motivation for sure. But there's something else in Strange that they mention a few times.
Is it the concept of Mussar, of like balancing yourself between two ends of a value and finding the right pitch point? And I when I was in LA, I got to see Alan Marinas speak at my synagogue, and so it's like a forefront piece for me sometimes of like changing who you are and the representation of it.
Trying to hold up Alan Marinas' book, which is right next to me.
Oh, that's fun. That's my guess is the topic of Mussar.
Yeah, you nailed it.
No way, did I really?
Yeah, totally. But specifically,
Nice.
So Mussar is kind of a way to study Judaism that is based on ethics, values, and to take what Marinas calls our spiritual truths and finding ways to better our own selves through meditation, journaling, and
Conversations,
focusing on a particular value. And I would say, if so shall I give you the Mussar path that I think Dr. Strange.
Oh, he's on a specific Mussar path.
Yeah,
can I ask this? Usually this is done in a chavruta, a pairing, a friend, a study partner. Who can I ask who his, I guess it would be America Chavez.
Christine.
Oh, I like that's right, because she comes, 100%. That's great. Hey, who's your chavruta? Let us know in the comments.
I thought you were asking me.
No, I mean, listeners.
My chavruta. Daf Yomi baby. Do you want me to say it, or do you want to keep guessing?
Yeah. No, we guessed it. Oh, you want the specific moose? There's like
what
does as many listeners as we have Mussar. Like there's dozens.
Yeah. So I would say this is specifically about anava, which means humility. And Christine says early in the movie, you always have to hold the knife. It was also very characteristic of Strange in the first Doctor Strange movie when the Sorcerer Supreme says it's not about you. Like he has to figure out that it's not about him to move on, and that carries through. Like when before he was able to tap in to his magical powers, he was the best surgeon in the world. No one could do it better. You're not going to take the bullet out. I'm going to take the bullet out. And when his hands were too shaky to operate, he had no idea who he was. So now in Strange Multiverse of Madness, we have this idea of it's said to him earlier, you have to be the one holding the knife. It is shown before Christine says that, it's shown because he tries to take America Chavez's powers because he has to be the one holding that knife as well.
Yeah. And they reiterated it when he was waiting in the pews with the other doctor, Dr. West, I think it was, that he said, was there any other choice? And he's like, no, we made the best choice. The only choice we had, right? That he was solidified in that. And maybe it was, but maybe it was the one choice because he couldn't see himself giving up anything. Like maybe there were the options that don't include him surviving or a different, maybe like this was the best choice out of all of them. But he said it was the only one where we win. I don't know what that means to him.
Oh, that's such an interesting rabbit hole to consider. Like, were there possibilities where the Avengers win, and I'm air quoting this for our viewers at home, but that he was incapable of even conceptualizing what that would look like?
Right. Well, maybe he visioned this other world with the Illuminati, where like, yes, they won, but then he's in this really dark place, and the Darkhold has exploded and caused what they call it? What is it called? An incursion.
Incursion, yeah.
Yeah. Can I say? I think the one thing I love with Mussar, the concept of it, I love, is that there's a spectrum of each of these values. Right. And so, in this concept of Doctor Strange, the value for him is either hold the knife yourself, don't do anything at all, right? Those are the two ends of the spectrum. He has to find a way to work with other people somewhere in the middle the working with other people isn't the other side of the spectrum. It's him not doing anything. It's either he does everything, he does nothing. Doing something with other people is where he finds his balance. And so
Absolutely.
I love this as the theme, the Jewish theme for Doctor Strange. It's great.
And when you talk about anava, humility, the idea of, being humble in the case of Mussar doesn't mean bowing and kowtowing. It means knowing that, as Morinus says, that no more than my place, no less than my space. The idea that we have things that we are supposed to do. That Doctor Strange is supposed to be an Avenger, help save the world,
Right.
the key being help, but he's not supposed to do it alone.
Yeah,
she's got a power that he needs her to use.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I give a quick shout out to Temple Sinai of Glendale, where I discovered Mussar more, and Rabbi Rick Schechter and their educator Carolyn Moore Musso. So thank you both for opening me to Mussar in that way.
It's a wonderful topic to study, and if you and listeners, if you are interested in studying Mussar, I definitely recommend Alan Morinus's book Everyday Holiness. It's a great starting point. It's a lot of work. It can be a years-long study, and really, it's one of those things that we're never done with. So, highly recommend studying Mussar. I've been doing it for years, and I can't get enough.
And just like we talked about in the last episode, this also cannot be done alone. It should be done with other people, not by yourself. And just like Doctor Strange learned, not by yourself.
And like
Absolutely.
I was gonna say that.
I want to say also that like there's so we talked about trying to hone down all of the references to this, that, and the other that happened in the movie, but some of them are wonderful. The Reed Richards showing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And before Reed Richards shows up, Christine mentions the Baxter Foundation.
No.
And that was another screamy moment for me.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I was elbowing the person I was with. He said Baxter Foundation.
But also big important shout out to America Chavez, the character, as the first Latinx character, the first LGBTQ plus character. They did a great job of being relatively true to her origin story. It's not her mother's that get lost in the origin story. It's her sister, but and her mothers sacrificed themselves to save Utopia, which is where she's from. But close enough, right?
Yeah, that was great
for 10 seconds of a movie. Like we had appearances by Wiccan and Speed. Wanda's children, the Tribunal, which is visible in one of the jumps. The Tribunal is this intergalactic, like Watcher type organization.
The Living Tribunal.
Living Tribunal.
Yeah. Wait, which jump was that in?
When they were jumping from universe to universe.
Oh, the real quick ones.
Yeah,
I want to pause button on those scenes, man.
Yeah. I actually when I saw it the first time, I thought it was Galactus. So the second time I saw the movie, I was watching for it. When this episode airs, Doctor Strange will be released on Disney Plus during this month. So go and watch it. Now we can pause it. Now you can pause it. But one of the most I think some of the most brilliant references in this movie were all the references to Sam Raimi movies. So Sam Raimi directed. He had a lot of fun. So much fun. But the best was Pizza Papa. I was just going to mention Bruce Campbell, that he had a lot of fun with that. And I love the fact that he was like, his hand was possessed, just like in Evil Dead. Just like Evil Dead. Yeah. And he had said in an interview that if he continued the original Spider-Man trilogy, the fourth one was going to include Bruce Campbell as Mysterio. That's who the character is, that his person throughout was like following. Fun. Yeah, that would have been really fun. And Bruce Campbell has cameos in a couple of Spider-Man movies. Yes. He's the bouncer who keeps Tom Holland out of the play, or not Andrew Garfield out of the play.
No. These were all
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. Yeah.
Sorry.
The first one,
sorry,
he was the ring. He was the ring announcer for the wrestling ring.
Right.
He was the bouncer for the theater, and he was the maitre d for the wedding proposal.
Nice. Yeah. Sorry, but it's almost as if there's a multiverse of Spider-Man in my head. Just wonderful references, and again, and I mentioned Secret Wars. I think we're preparing for Kang the Conqueror.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Can I actually, on that topic, I want to ask something. Because one of the things that I have heard asked about was, what is the sense of direction with phase 4 of the Marvel films?
Oof, I don't know if we have to. I don't know.
I think Secret Wars is the direction to a certain
one
extent.
of the things. They're doing so many different things that I've lost confidence in my guesses. 100% we're going to get some sort of Kang and Secret Wars, and we bet we're going to get Galactus. I'm pretty positive of that. But now every time
to have a good Fantastic Four would be so nice.
Every time something new comes out, I'm like, well, now they're going to go in this direction, right? We're probably going to get Midnight Suns. We're probably going to get, Midnight Suns for David's sister Susan. It's a group of superheroes that are more dark and mystical. The Blade and Ghost Rider and Black Knight. So everything that keeps getting introduced, we keep getting more and more things. And I'm like, I think we're going to have a couple different avenues of stories that we're following at the same time instead of one, and we'll have encompassing things. I think Secret Wars will bring us together. Like every now and then everybody will be pulled for an Avengers movie in some way, but I think overall they'd be constantly separating.
I think when they're setting up like phase 4 as like where the movies are going to go, and how they blend in with the TV shows is awesome. But I think the end of Loki, when the one who remains, is what do they call him? What he did at the end of Loki is what it wouldn't, like, the multiverse of madness would not have been possible without him. At the end of Loki.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. They're very thoughtful. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Would you guys eat pizza balls? They look really good.
Yeah.
Somebody better. I hope that Avengers Campus now has pizza balls available.
Not with pepperoni, but I would eat the cheese.
It looked really good, and I really don't know how they would make. Like she said, pizza in every universe is different, but you always can trust it. Why don't we have more than just slices? We've got like Totino's pizza rolls and a calzone's fine. Like I want other things that looked really
pizza.
There is a clear answer to that question, and that is just how much fighting there is between the style of pizza. We have triangular pizza, and we're still arguing about Chicago style, New York style. This pizza's real pizza. That's not real pizza. Can you imagine if it was different shapes and like different? Like it'd be too much. It'd be too much.
I think it's fine. It looked so good.
Also, Chicago pizza is not pizza; it's deep dish.
You forgot to say, pizza. Well, actually, can I insert tidbits? Right, I love the little hint of throwing in. Do you have kids? Yeah, I've got a boy. Like he referenced Franklin Richards, one of the most powerful hero, like one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe, and so. In that universe, it exists, but if it's his kid, they're planning on something for like 10 years from now, right? Probably, right? So that we can get it into our universe. That was nice.
And hasn't like John Krasinski been like the fan favorite for Reed Richards forever?
I think that's why it was so mind blowing. Is that for well before, I want to say it's been 3-4 years, and maybe they've had it planned that long. That somebody did a CG like Photoshop with John Krasinski as Reed Richards, and that's why that was like so awesome for a lot of people, is that there was like this image going around that they hoped that he was Reed Richards, and that Emily Blunt, his wife, was going to play Susan Storm.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah. You know what, question, and I haven't thought about this well enough for me to ask this question now. When we get Fantastic Four and they cast that movie, I would love for them to continue representation amongst the actors. And I know we've gotten plenty of people who aren't Jews playing Jewish people. Oscar Isaac did a wonderful job in Moon Knight. Who is a good muscular Jew that we could get to play the Thing?
Michael Kanan.
Who's Michael Kanan?
He's
a muscular Jew.
Is
he your friend?
He's Cap. I've referenced Cap in 2 episodes.
That's amazing. You know what he should do? He should do what Simu Liu did and be like, hey, if you're waiting for cast a strong Jewish guy for Thing, let me know. Right?
Yeah.
Simu did the same thing, and that's how he got Shang-Chi.
That's another movie that just blew my mind. That was gorgeous.
I don't want to dive too deep.
All right.
Let's stay on topic, people. We're already well off. Any other pieces?
I'm obviously very biased, but it was great to see Patrick Stewart.
Amen. And in the yellow wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the hint of the TV show theme.
Right, they use the TV show theme.
Well, we're getting the new one soon. They're doing X-Men 95 is going to be the next right? Is that what it's called? X-Men 95, X-Men 97?
Something like that, yeah.
They're continuing the story.
One of the things that I didn't say in the first episode in my universe of nerddom.
Yeah.
I worked from the day I worked there on opening day, I worked there on closing day at a restaurant called Marvel Mania at Universal City Walk in Los Angeles. And we had 25 by 25 foot screen showing Marvel comics all the time. We had
so fun
Spider-Man and Captain America and Silver Surfer walking around. We were the servers. I was a server and eventually a bartender. But the servers wore like regular, like just costumes, blue pants and mustard shirts. They were disgusting. And because the manager, like on day one, I'm like, well, why don't we get to dress up as superheroes? And the manager said to me, what's going to happen if Captain America spills spaghetti on someone's lap? I was like, oh yeah, good point. So it was this just amazing.
He would say, I could do this all day, kid.
I could throw spaghetti at you all day. And side note, Captain Carter saying that in multiverse
was great.
But the 90s X-Men cartoons were playing on that screen
that's
all
fun.
the time. So when he came out and like I immediately was like, oh my God. The music and with Wanda too, they used WandaVision music for her. It was brilliantly done. I think
the only scene, and I want to get back to the Mussar thing soon, but
sorry.
Sorry. I hope you're all enjoying this as much and not apologizing. The only scene that I wish was done differently that I'm like still sort of confused on is the music fight scene with Sinister Strange. That seemingly came out of nowhere. And I know that it's based under like a famous Bach fugue, I think. But it felt so out of place for me. I think they were just trying to not use the same spells we've seen Doctor Strange use all the time. Now we've got two of them doing the same lashes and shields and whatever. But I think they had plenty of opportunity to do like an incursion battle scene of like fighting with these crossover damaged stuff and doing some sort of incursion magic something. I don't know. That's the only other complaint I have.
I liked that specifically because it was in a different universe. So it's not
the music fight scene.
The music fight was in a different universe, therefore the magic looked different.
Oh, sure, I can buy that.
That's an interesting interpretation. I was ambivalent about it. I thought it was just delightfully weird in a movie that was trying to be kind of delightfully weird.
Yeah, nice. And when it comes to going to that moment of humility,
bring it back, bring it all back.
Here we go. The moment that they were successful, I mentioned dynamic characters and how important that is. The moment that it really came to be successful for America Chavez to be able to save the day was not because he was able to say, no, this is what you do. Even in the way of giving her the knife, he didn't tell her how to use it.
Right.
He said, you've been using it all along.
So important. It's like he stood in more of a coaching sense than a mentor or a lead or a supervisor, right? It was,
yes,
here's the tools. I trust you.
Right. And that's a big part of humility is being able to trust others and to give people the opportunity to speak when they have something valuable to add, and to be able to listen to them fully and pay attention to say, you put us exactly where we needed to go. Maybe except for the paint world, but everything else.
You know what? Then speaking of the humility, tying in with one of these the Illuminati stuff, I think humility was the downfall of the Illuminati, which I also think is why they chose Reed Richards. I think this only would have worked with Reed Richards or like another Iron Man variant. Is their downfall was essentially him saying all Black Bolt has to do is open his mouth and you're done, right? Reed Richards with his chutzpah, right? That his gumption of we are better than you and we know this and we have a plan. Here's our plan, right? Iron Man does the same thing. We've got a Hulk, right? Like they are characters that are on the forefront of that one end of humility for their own character. And it's because of that character's humility, Black Bolt couldn't get a single word out. And that was the Illuminati's downfall right there. And I think
it's such a great take.
Especially
it's why they chose him, I think. I think you have very few characters you could have chosen to be that lead seat to just spoil your plan to this Darkhold master that they know is an issue and still, we'll handle your little witch. Like, so just full of himself.
It's kind of an interesting take of both wrong sides of humility, like both the fact that he's overconfident in his plan and the fact that he's so humble he's gonna tell you all about it. I also think it's I don't know if this is obvious, but that Reed Richards built the Ultrons in 838. And that's what makes because he's smarter than Tony Stark and has a moral compass that Tony Stark doesn't have.
You know what? Actually, maybe I disagree with you because they've already faced Thanos. So it's very possible that there was an Ant-Man or there was an Iron Man who built the Ultrons for this universe that did not make it past the battle. And that they idolized Doctor Strange so that they wouldn't know about his Darkhold addiction. But the other people who perished didn't get the same. Right? In our universe, Iron Man died and got this whole funeral and nothing happened with Black Widow. Right. There's somebody you raise up because of their sacrifice for whatever reason or another. But there's plenty other people died in that battle that did not get the recognition that Iron Man did publicly.
Also, by the way, in the comic books, Hank Pym builds Ultron.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said Ant-Man.
Yeah. Oh, right. You did.
Cool. Do you have is there any other like Mussar, Doctor Strange stuff?
I think I would just reiterate, study Mussar. It's awesome. And watch the MCU. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Can I plug both best done with another person?
What? MCU and what?
And
Mussar.
Studying Mussar.
Oh, yes. Yeah. This is why I have you guys for the podcast. It's so nice. And why I have all of you listening with me right now. I'm listening with you right now.
You are all our Chevruta.
That's nice. All right, well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Torah Smash. Our fiscal sponsor is Jewish Creativity International. Our theme music was created by Sean Fogel. You can check out Sean's bands and studio work at www.thesleepywest.com. This episode is supported in part by Sinai and Synapses, which offers people a worldview that is both scientifically grounded and spiritually uplifting. They provide tools and language for learning and living to those who see science as their ally as they pursue personal growth and the repair of our world. Sinai and Synapses equip scientists, clergy, and dedicated laypeople with knowledge and skills to become role models, ambassadors, and activists for grappling with the biggest and most important questions we all face. To learn more, visit www.sinaiandsynapses.org. We want to hear from you and continue today's nerdy discussion. Go to torahsmash.com to find where to connect with us online, email us directly, find previous episodes, and more. And Dormammu, I've come to ask you to be on our temple committee.
Thank you. Y'all are great.